Hello, thanks for joining me. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about my proposal for solving a workplace communication problem that I've identified at my workplace, Washington and Jefferson College. In a previous video, we discussed at length the nature and specifics of the problem that I've identified and some of the social semiotic theories that we will use in solving this problem. In this video, as I said, we're going to discuss some specifics of the proposed solution and generally cover the structure of the problem and how we're going to proceed with proposing and hopefully getting approval for this solution. So overall, the solution has been broken into 4 phases, and the proposal will focus on the first phase of those 4, given important institutional priorities that limit time and resources available for solving this particular problem. Um, so to be specific, the 4 phases of the project include phase number 1, prioritizing craftsmanship and customer service in the facility services department. Phase number 2, improving service response times and controlling workflows. Phase number 3 will include implementing greater operational continuity and process control measures. And phase 4 will integrate and evaluate phases 1 through 3 and see how well we've met that final overarching goal of improving overall operational effectiveness and efficiency in the facility services department. Now, this 4 phase project is scheduled to take about a year and a half, from January of 2019 to August of 2020. Now, again, it's important to keep in mind that the proposal is going to focus on the first phase, which is, again, implementing focus on craftsmanship and customer service, not only because of important institutional resource restrictions, but also because this is the most important phase of the 4 phase project, in the sense that each phase builds upon the last. So with that said, in my role as a residential facilities coordinator at the college, I will be spearheading each of the 4 phases. Particularly phase 1 falls right in my wheelhouse. I have many years of experience in the customer service world, and I'm really anxious to use that experience to my advantage and to the college's advantage in training our facilities management and line level staff in more effective service delivery. As I outlined again in the first video on this subject, the primary problem that we aim to address here is ineffective service delivery from the facility services staff in all residential areas across campus. Now, it's important to keep in mind that W&J College is a residential liberal arts institution, and we have a student body of approximately 1,300 that we require to live on campus. And in addition, we have 25 or so professional staff that live in on-campus housing as well that are affected by this problem. So to get into some of the nuts and bolts of how we will actually go about integrating that mindset of craftsmanship and customer service, again, since I'm going to spearhead all phases of this proposal, I will provide much of the design and production work here. So in other words, through independent work and collaboration with our human resources department, I will develop customer service training. This customer service training is going to have 2 iterations. The first iteration will focus on training our facility services management staff in the area of customer focused service delivery, and also in the area of craftsmanship assurance. So in other words, we want to make sure that we're delivering service with the customer as our top priority and their satisfaction as our top priority, but also the quality and measure of our work being a close second. Uh, As mentioned, we will accomplish this through two iterations of training. The first will go, of course, to management, will be delivered jointly by myself and our HR generalist, Hannah Smiley. Now, the second iteration of this training will be developed with, and I will deliver with some collaboration from the Human Resources Department, but our focus will be more on working with the facility services management team, of which there are 5 members. Now, each of those individuals has a different focus area, but since we are a small school situated only on 65 acres, we have a small management team and a small line staff, so we won't break up those trainings into functional areas beyond the maintenance, grounds, and custodial realms. And it is the hope that by delivering first this training to our management staff and then delivering it to our line staff, that our management staff will have a chance to absorb, process, and look at our priorities related to this proposal in a little different light, and it'll give them the opportunity to sort of prime their line staff to bring them on board. Then we'll deliver that training. Then hopefully everybody with again my central efforts being to push everybody forward and to not only garner that buy-in from the start, but also sustain our efforts and drive the desired change. So to think a little bit about how we'll evaluate the effectiveness of this phase of the project. Since January 2019, as indicated in the timeline, in the written proposal, I've been working to build relationships with our facility services managers and line level staff so as to catalyze a willingness to have the conversations that we need to have leading up to the formal delivery of this training. And also, I've been working with our director of residence life, my sort of indirect supervisor and close working colleague, who oversees our Student Government Association and its subcommittee, the Residence Life Advisory Committee, on gauging perceptions and kind of getting a baseline of where we're at with regard to facility services as it stands. So what exactly are our residential populations saying right now before any efforts are made to improve the service delivery and address that problem that we've identified? And importantly, I will continue to work with the Director of Residence Life and the SGA subcommittee to follow up and continue to collect data through surveys on how those residential populations are feeling as we move through providing the training and as we get to the back end of it to evaluate overall effectiveness. So an important note of context for the institutional restrictions and why exactly we're focusing only on this first phase. Again, since I will be spearheading most of this and I also have many other day-to-day responsibilities, it's important to keep in mind that achievability needs to be a key consideration. So, in other words, given all the work that I have to do on a daily basis unrelated to this particular workplace communication problem, and also the work that I have to do in the context of the information provided in the proposal vis-a-vis appendix number 1, which in a nutshell is $13.5 million of renovations and facilities improvements, primarily focused on residential areas on campus, to be accomplished in a 3-month period of time from May to the end of July, early August 2019. We're only going to focus on phase 1 because to do otherwise would be foolish and is going to harm our ability to actually implement this proposal effectively. So, in summary, the workplace communication problem that we've identified at W&J centers on effective facility services delivery in residential areas on campus. As the RFC, I will be spearheading every phase of this proposal, And particularly given many other institutional resource and time restrictions, we're going to focus primarily on phase number one, which is to integrate a mentality of craftsmanship and customer service oriented service delivery. And that phase will take place between January of 2019 and August of 2019. And the primary methods will be a collaboration with human resources and in-person training in two iterations, one for facility services managers and one for facility services line staff. And then I'll work with the director of residence life and our student government association subcommittees on advisory for residence life to both gather pre and post implementation uh, data that will help us understand if we have been effective. I would also like to point out the importance of a multimodal approach to the effectiveness of these solutions. The proposal, the problem identification document that was discussed in the last video, the customer service training slide decks, the actual delivery of the customer service training, the design of the surveys for the residential populations, etc. All of these items depend heavily on an effective multimodal approach that uses both written language, spoken language, gestures, layout, images to effectively shape and put forward an amenable meaning that will allow for buy-in across campus and eventually the successful completion of all four phases of the proposal. So I look forward to really digging into phase one and getting to work developing multimodal training in the areas of customer service and craftsmanship. And I also look forward to providing additional updates as we move forward on how my multimodal approach, how the class concepts, and how my efforts in professional settings here will materialize to solve the workplace communication problem that I've identified. Thanks again for watching.